Hello, hello, hello. Today we are studying Psalm chapter 11, a Psalm of David, and he says, "In the Lord Yᵉhôvâh, I put my trust." How can you say to my soul, "Flee as a bird to your mountain"? For look, the wicked bend their bow. They make ready their arrow on the string, that they may shoot secretly at the upright in heart. If the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do? This is the key now. The Lord Yᵉhôvâh in Hebrew is in his holy temple. The Lord's throne is in heaven. His eyes behold, his eyelids test the sons of men. Verse 5. The Lord Yᵉhôvâh tests the righteous, but the wicked and the one who loves violence his soul hates. Upon the wicked he will rain coals, fire and brimstone, and a burning wind shall be the portion of their cup. For the Lord Yᵉhôvâh is righteous, he loves righteousness, his countenance beholds the upright. So as we meditate on this psalm, we see very clearly that the Lord, his throne is in heaven. It's not here on earth, it is in heaven. And even that being the case, he sees us, nakikita niya tayo, the sons of men. He is not too far away, he sees us. In fact, he sees everyone. Now the important thought that we need to take away is, as Yᵉhôvâh is in heaven, the key statement that he makes is Yᵉhôvâh tests the righteous. Not past tense, but present tense. Tests the righteous. But the wicked and the one who loves violence, his soul hates. So the opposite of testing is hating. Okay? And therefore, what does test mean? Is it like a test in the schools that we have? Is there something that we can fail at? I don't think so, because the opposite is the wicked. His soul hates the wicked. So he does not test the wicked, he tests the righteous. And that means to bring out the best in the righteous person. God knows your heart, God sees you, he knows what you're going to do, and therefore he puts a test in your way. And if you pass that test, then you are truly proving to yourself, God knows it already, but proving to yourself that you are indeed righteous. A good example of this is Abraham. So let's quickly look at Abraham, chapter 22. Most people don't understand that God actually tests his people, and someone told me the other day, in mind, the Abrahamic covenant means there is no work to be done by man. It is all done by God. So when you are in the Abrahamic covenant, then everything will be done by God. You don't have to do anything. And my point to him is, no, that's not the case. Because let's take Abraham for example. Chapter 22, Genesis, verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that God tested Abraham and said to him, "Abraham." And he said, "Here I am." Then he said, "Take now your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you." So Abraham rose early in the morning and saddled his donkey, and took two of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and he split the wood for the burnt offering, and arose and went to the place which God had told him. Now, we know the story, so we can skip forward already to he was about to kill his son Isaac. And Abraham said, "My son, God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering." So the two of them went together. Then they came to the place where God had told him, and Abraham built an altar there and placed the wood in order. And he bound Isaac, his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. Papatayin niya talaga si Isaac because he was an obedient person. But the angel of Yᵉhôvâh, the angel of the Lord, called to him from heaven and said, "Abraham, Abraham." So he said, "Here I am." And he said, "Do not lay your hand on the lad or do anything to him. For now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me." You know, when he says the angel of the Lord, they speak. It's like God speaking. So it's said in the I know. So God now knows, he has proven that Abraham fears God, since Abraham is willing to obey God even to the point of the death of his own son. Then Abraham lifted his eyes and looked, and there behind him was a ram caught in a thicket by its horns. So Abraham went and took the ram, offered it up for a burnt offering. And Abraham called the name of the place, "The Lord will provide," Yᵉhôvâh Yireh. As it is said to this day, "In the mount of Yᵉhôvâh it shall be provided." Then the angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time out of heaven and said, "By myself I have sworn, says Yᵉhôvâh, because you have done this thing, and have not withheld your son, your only son. Blessing I will bless you, and multiplying I will multiply your descendants as the stars of heaven, and as the sand which is on the seashore, and your descendants shall possess the gate of their enemy." Now it is important to understand, in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. Do you see that? Why will all the nations of the earth be blessed? Because Abraham obeyed God's voice. If Abraham did not obey, then we would not be blessed. So in your seed, Yeshua, David, no, in your seed, that is in Isaac, all the nations of the earth shall be blessed because you have obeyed. So you have Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and the balance of the nation. So we see that as God comes together and tests us, he tested Abraham not to make Abraham fail, but to prove to Abraham himself and to God himself, so that God will really know. Now I know. Sabi sa verse 12, "I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me." So the idea is very clear. God tests all of us, and iba-iba ang klaseng testing natin. And if we pass the test, which we will, God will not test us if we will fail it. If we pass the test like Abraham, then God knows that we are His and we are committed to Him 1000%. So that is King David offering to us the major truth. It's such a nice truth that I thought it would be nice to make a video out of it. In Psalm chapter 11, hindi ito 9:11, kundi Psalm 11. So sa Psalm 11, kitang-kita natin that in Psalm 11, the major truth is that Yᵉhôvâh tests the righteous. So if you're righteous, you're obeying Yᵉhôvâh, what should you expect? Yᵉhôvâh will test you. That's what you should expect. He will make you a better person by bringing, quote-unquote, hard things into your life. It's hard to obey God when He says, "Kill your son." But that's what's happening. And that is repeated once again. One of the major truths that we teach people is that you do not take just one verse. So here you have a verse in Psalm that says Yᵉhôvâh tests the righteous. Then you have one example in Genesis where Yᵉhôvâh tests Abraham. Now we will look at one of our favorite books, the end of the Torah, the end of the TaNaK is Chronicles, and in Chronicles, First Chronicles chapter 29, our favorite chapter. I know also, verse 17, my God, that you test the heart and have pleasure in uprightness. Why does God test the hearts? Because when you test and you pass the test, God takes pleasure in that. Isn't that amazing? God takes pleasure in your uprightness. So, with that, I will pray that all of us, together with one heart, that Yᵉhôvâh, our God, will fix our heart toward Him, that He will give everyone involved, including my sons Michael and Christopher, my wife Mila, myself, Aldwin, Gigi, Aldrin, Dats, um, Rolly, brother Rolly, sister Lani. We also have Jim and Susan. We have Leandro, Lorenzo, Reds. We have Judge and Melanie. If I missed anybody, please, or Gwen and Jolu, huwag natin kalimutan yun. That He will fix our hearts toward Himself, and that He will give us loyal hearts to keep His commandments and His testimonies and His statutes, no matter what. So thank you very much for this time. I hope you enjoyed our 12-minute video. Amen, ve amen, ve amen.